Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. We can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good. Oh, you know what? I didn't even turn on the camera. I didn't even turn on the camera, guys. I don't even have the lights on either. What the hell is wrong with me today? Good grief. Well, okay. But you can still hear me, right? Well, today's title I put, "Is it over yet?" Because this Ukraine situation has been causing volatility all week. And I'm guessing by the most recent action in the 10-year treasury that the answer is no. It is not over yet. Oh, man. What the heck is going on? Okay, hold on. I need to get the camera back here. There we go. Hello. How are you guys doing? Hey, the camera looks so good, though. Really, it really does. So let's just come and check the charts here real quick. You can see they are uppity about something. A lot of risk came out overnight, and now it's coming back up again. S&P 500, what a dismal close yesterday. Not quite the lows of the week, but hey, now that we're pushing there, maybe we'll get that. Here's oil. Oil not actually moving yet from this. Natural gas is a little bit, though. And gold and silver remain up at their highs, as copper is kind of flat. And Bitcoin taking a bit of a dive, breaking the neckline there at the very least. We'll see if this sends them back down into the 3500s area now. And the dollar is actually pretty tame right now. So, interesting. Good morning, Thomas. Good morning, TLA and Octavius. How are you guys doing? Seems the German index is taking advantage of the joys of the United States existing home sales, Eurozone consumer confidence flash. Okay, well, we do get some numbers here, right? We get oh, it's at 6:20. Putin and Lukashenko speak tentative. That could be what's going on. Oh, okay. Well, we only get Canadian retail sales right here. So there is going to be some U.S. existing home sales coming through. Okay. Well, the Canadian retail sales, core retail sales month over month was negative 2.5 versus an expected negative 1.5. But the overall retail sales was better. So it sounds like car sales improved. The car sales improved, but the overall economy there in Canada is not doing as well. And we are getting a reaction to that in the treasuries here. I am still trying to figure out, though, what is happening. That can't be it. Lloyd Austin spoke with Russian Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu just now. Secretary Austin called for de-escalation, the return Russian forces surrounding Ukraine to their home bases, and a diplomatic resolution. And that is basically, separatists in Donbass are evacuating due to the intensification of the conflict, says IFAX. Separatist leader in eastern Ukraine announces evacuation of residents to Russia. Oh. Was that 20 minutes ago? That's that. I think that's what it is right there. That's the headline right there. Okay. The EU is is considering measures to plug loopholes in sanctions against Belarus. Nice one, Qatar. What the hell is he talking about there? Well, I tell you what, and here's the other thing. Like, is it over yet? I'm gonna say, even if we weren't having a risk headline bothering markets here at this moment, I would still say it's not over yet, because it is options expiration day, and when you've had such a wild week already and then it's going into options expiration, you're gonna see a lot of weird stuff. So today might not be the best time to try and take on risk or start some sort of swing trade, or go, especially it's a 3-day weekend too. Okay, so hold on to your butts, right? Well, I'm trying to think this out now. Also, first of all, let's just get things all settled here. We're gonna need to be able to see chat here really well. Russian. Let's come over here to Zero Hedge and the other news outlets to see if there's any stories about this. Yep. Stocks tumble and gold spikes as Donbass separatists announce mass evacuation to Russia. Final showdown. Canadian police set to end freedom convoy. Unlawful demonstration, quote unquote. I have to say, I don't know why, but I was thinking a lot about the Canada thing this morning when I was in the shower. Like, so did you guys hear? This is going to seem like a really, really big left turn. But did you see that Jordan Peterson is going to be speaking at a Bitcoin conference? Like this next week, or was it today? I don't remember when it was. Oh my gosh. Like here's the thing. I think Jordan Peterson is a very good psychologist that has very insightful insightful insight. What's the right word? I think that he is uniquely positioned to have insight into some of the cultural phenomenons that we're seeing today that are causing a lot of controversy in our society. And I think that he's been a really he's a smart guy that's had an interesting voice to listen to that I think we can learn a lot from. That doesn't mean that everything that he ever says is good, and sometimes he's waded into controversial issues where you just didn't really need to do anything. You didn't really need to say anything, but he did, right? He has this place when it overlaps into political demographics, he gets a little cringe. Well, but you got to remember, the thing is though, is that the reason that this even started was because he jumped into the political battle, right? The way that this all started was when he was pushing back against woke transgender demonstrations at his school or something like that, right? That was his first viral video. And then he got involved in the politics of this law that was trying to add being transgender as a protected status, and he argued that it would force people to use certain language, but his opponents claimed that it would not force people to use certain language, which I think was a little bit more complicated than that, but they're probably both a little bit wrong in that one. But I'm not Canadian and I don't follow those issues too well, but like that's the thing. I think there's these people out there that just want to say absolutely Jordan Peterson is this absolute shitbag of a person. Don't listen to anything he says, yada yada yada. I really think that the reason that these people get upset about that is because he pushes back so hard against socialist ideologies. I really think that that's what it comes down to, is that they see him as a threat to communism. He is a significant threat to the kind of where they want to take politics, right? So he's speaking at a Bitcoin conference, and oh my gosh. Yeah, he pushed back against compel speak, and not, yeah, that's, well, I think that he has been pushing against wokeism in general as well. In the issue of wokeism, this is where I'm saying I really think that this guy understands a lot about psychology, and understands a lot about what kind of causes some of these attitudes and how people react to it and so forth. And I really think that we should consider what he says about it, because I really agree with him that I don't think that these political movements are healthy for people. I don't think, I think that it's like causing active psychological harm. But the whole thing is there are some people out there that just, it's funny because a bunch of people latched on to Jordan Peterson as like, there was a lot of young men in particular that were maybe looking for direction in their life, I guess, and didn't feel like that they had very good role models at home, and started to use him as their role model. And they claim that he helped their lives considerably. So there's a group of people that really like him, and then there's this huge horde of people on the left that just think that he's the absolute devil. And then he speaks at a Bitcoin, that he gets invited to speak at a Bitcoin conference, and the drama around it is just so hilarious. It is the drama around it is so hilarious, man. like Bitcoin and politics, I think is kind of funny, because when Bitcoin started, I remember it being a big thing on Reddit. I remember it being shortly after, like the thing was still Wall Street bets, and everybody was against Wall Street, and the leftists viewed Bitcoin is an end run around the bank oligarchs, whatever, and it was very much the left leaning Silicon Valley entrepreneurial types that were favorable towards Bitcoin. And that's why you saw so many people, like really big subreddits, and Reddit became a central place to look for information on Bitcoin, right? And since then, what has happened is the anarcho-capitalists and libertarians and some of the more right-leaning people have started to jump onto Bitcoin. And then you had this whole noise in Canada, where Justin Trudeau cuts off the protesters from the financial system. He has a place speaking against the normalization of mental illness, like culture started with destigmatizing mental illness, which really is fine. Now mental illness has become cultural identifier, and that's not a good thing for the long term. We have a real problem with mental illness in this country, man. Because we used to have mental asylums, and we got rid of the mental asylums. So you have all of these mentally ill people are literally living in the streets, and it's mental illness has always been stigmatized in the country, but there's like everybody has a little bit of crazy in them, guys. And how do you deal with it? And I think in the United States, we have a tendency to just want to medicate people. It's like, well, you make the money from selling the medications. So if there's something wrong with somebody, give them a pill. And in many, most cases, I don't know, most cases, listen, whether medication is correct for you is up to you and your doctor. But I'm just suggesting that maybe sometimes we jump to a certain solution because it's easier, and we're not actually dealing with the big, deeper problems, right? But I digress. You got me off track there, Uzi. What Justin Trudeau is doing in Canada, cutting people off from the financial system, is just absolutely reprehensible. I mean, it's not like they're pulling in China and bulldozing people, but I feel like that what I'm starting to see in our democracies is like virtual bulldozing, right? It's like, well, we're not bulldozing them in real life. We're bulldozing them off the internet, or we're bulldozing them off of the financial system. And this isn't the way that our Western civilization, free democracies are supposed to work. You shouldn't be able to cut somebody off from the financial system without a court order or a subpoena, like without due process. And they're just saying, you're associated with this at all, you can't even access your bank account. Is just absolutely like that. The damage that Justin Trudeau has done here to democracy, to Western society, I think is just. I really hope that people in Canada, legislators in particular, it sounds like they did not authorize his emergency measure, whatever, but they really need to step up and say, no, we're not going to allow this. You can't deny, you know, a person financial services without a court order. But the answer is not to introduce anarchy in its place. Okay. Because that's basically what people on the right are starting to say now. And I guess Jordan Peterson is going along with it. They're saying, well, so we're just going to use Bitcoin because Bitcoin allows us to transact around the government. No, like the government shouldn't be able to prevent you from using the financial system, but we don't want anarchy. Having the decentralized currency, there's real problems with that. If society moves to a decentralized currency, it's going to encourage a lot of crime and things that aren't going to be good for people in the long run. Okay, and not to mention financial stability. But then the funny thing on top of all of that is that the shit doesn't even work anyways. Like, so if you're a protester and you've been sent money from Bitcoin, well, so first of all, it's going to take a long time for the money to get to you, and you're going to have to pay a lot to transfer it. Okay, unless you're using not Bitcoin, right? But then, how do you use it? Nobody accepts Bitcoin at their business. So what do? You're going to have to sell the Bitcoin for the Canadian dollar at an exchange. And then you're going to have to transfer your money from the exchange to your financial institution of choice, at which point the Canadian government will block your funds and you don't get them anyways. So it doesn't solve any problems. So I think it should be funny to watch these people find out that Bitcoin doesn't actually work. But in the meantime, I just find it so amusing to watch this political theater play out with Jordan Peterson giving a talk at a Bitcoin conference, and so many people in the Bitcoin sphere getting upset about it. It's like, oh, wow. So you mean you guys just got into it because you thought that it was going to make you rich, and you didn't actually really consider the longer term political and cultural consequences of what you're pushing? Hmm. Took a small loss yesterday in the Bitcoin market. Well, Bitcoin sure did come back quite a good clip, didn't it? So they're kind of in a little bit of a precarious situation if they decide to take another leg down and start revisiting the 3500s area. I think that it would require a breach of 3000 to really start triggering some of the doomsday scenarios. But another leg down in Bitcoin could really lead to like a total rout, like the 90% scenario, right? So I'm keeping an eye on them over in Bitcoin. And this whole situation that's going on right now, the risk that I see here is that opinions about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general are starting to crystallize. And I don't think that those opinions are positive of the currency. I think that the people that are positive on the currency are the people, mostly people that have no clue what's going on and are just in it for the money. Or they're like crazy ideologues that are like anarcho-capitalist sort of people, right? And everybody else is starting to really hate it. They're realizing the energy consumption. They're realizing what it's doing to the graphics card market, and they just want it rid of it. There are people talking on YouTube how they are down in their investing, buying Robinhood stock and adding to losers, and some people, YouTubers, are down 43K. Well, I'm wondering where Meet Kevin is at on his. Is he still, number one? Is he still out? And number two, what price, average price on the S&P 500 did he get out at? Because I think that he got out when there was. Let's come back and look at a chart, shall we? I think that he got out somewhere around here, didn't he? Or maybe it was around the FOMC. Maybe he got out somewhere around here. I don't remember. Think I can figure it out? Let's go and try and figure it out. Let's see if I go to the subreddit. Oh wait, there's the one that I want right there. Stock YouTuber Meet Kevin sold out of 99.9% of his stocks. This was 26 days ago. Why don't you just give me the day, you freaking retards? Sunday, January 23rd. Okay. Oh, it was. That's fucking hilarious. So the 23rd was right down in there. The 23rd was basically here. He sold the absolute bottom so far. We could go lower and maybe he looks like a genius, but so far it looks like he sold the absolute bottom. Hey, who knows? Maybe, I mean, he sold a couple millions of dollars. Maybe he contributed somewhat to that decline. What scared me more was they added to losers on margin using the, oh my gosh. So you know what I was watching yesterday was, oh, okay, so I got this. I have this little football to squeeze to try and get myself, because supposedly squeezing things will keep my right brain systems engaged and keep my brain connected so that I can still make some of the effective automatic, just seeing what's going on sort of stuff. I have this too, which is a stress ball. But, it's rubber, and rubber has residue and stuff, and it gets sticky. I don't know if this is like the best. I don't know if this is the best. I need a better stress ball. If you guys find a stress ball online that's like really good and it has like a soft material on the outside to squeeze, let me know. Because this one is sticky because it's basically a rubber balloon, and this one, the air squeezes out of it and I can smell the air and it smells like foam and I don't like it. But I digress. Then there's this. I don't know if this actually does. If this actually does it for us. There's a ring to squeeze too. Or maybe I just need to get one of those spring things, that you use for grip strength. I would think that what would be appropriate would be like a silicone bubble and then covered by some sort of, material. You have a minion one. Anyways, so I would last evening, something on my mind was on HBO Max. They have a documentary about Carl Icahn, and it was really, really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't realize all of the things that I knew the more recent stuff about him, like the whole Herbalife drama. I remember that very well. But there was all sorts of other companies that he was involved in the 70s and 80s, and it was and how he kind of came to prominence. He went to Princeton. His parents wanted him to become a doctor. They're Jewish. They wanted him to be a doctor, and he dropped out and went into the military to get away, to hide from his parents because he didn't want to be a doctor. And then when he got back out of the military, he became an intern at some Wall Street broker, and he eventually moved off on his own. And that's how he came to be what he was today. He started out as a broker. He was doing options. He gave people better pricing on options, and then he moved into becoming an activist investor. Very interesting. But one of the things, apparently, one of the most influential moments for him was seeing, I watched a recent video about Icahn talking about inflation in a video of the Fed. I really think so there's a couple of things that I get out of his that documentary that I think are really important. One of the things that I see, and I see this in successful people over and over and over again, is like what motivates them. Because a lot of people just think, oh, they just want money. And it seems to me that if your motivation is primarily money, that you don't make it. Like it's not enough of a driver to get you to the top. That you actually have to be driven by like the actual enjoying doing the actual task. Like he talks many times about like when you win, winning isn't that great because you win and it's like, oh, okay, I won. Now I need to find something new, right? You're on the chase for the next thing, which I thought was really, really well, not just interesting, but I mean, I think it's something that we kind of know, but also I think could be really useful to us, right? Because I really enjoy trading. I would do this even if there was no way to make money off of it. I think that that's kind of the boat that you have to be in, right? But at the same time, he also really believes that what he's doing is right. Like that these companies are not giving people their money's worth, that executives are taking too much money, etc., etc., etc. I really think that that these people are not that they're perfect or anything, but I really think that these people are doing God's work in certain degrees. I think Charlie Munger, the same thing. Like they understand that what we do here in the market has profound impacts on millions of people, and that it can make their lives better in meaningful ways. And they're doing the work that I mean the hard work that helps the system in the long run, even though it's not like the system is perfect or anything, and so he has some opinions about income inequality and inflation, so that I think are really interesting and worth listening to, right? But one of the key moments for him, something that kind of led him to doing what he does, was I think it was 1965. There was a market crash, and he was a broker, and he was like a hotshot broker, and his boss basically told him like, you're doing really good, but you're stupid, and when the market crashes, you're gonna get fucked. Basically, somebody like me told them like, you're doing really well right now because it's a bull market, but when things go awry, you're going to get creamed because because of the way you're doing this. You're doing something that only works in a bull market. basically, is what they told him. And they were right. He had like a nice car and a nice girl and all these things. And then the 1965 stock market crash came along and he just got destroyed. He just got absolutely obliterated. And at that point, he decided that like that was when he stopped becoming that's when he became a long-term investor. How was it? There was this tweet by the Marketeer yesterday pointing out that probably a lot of people were losing money. More long-term investors were born again today. Carl decided that he could not play the market. Playing the market didn't work, at least not for him. If not, deciding that it just wasn't possible to do. And that's why he started moving into activist investing. Instead, he said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm find something that's undervalued and I'm going to make it more valuable. I'm going to get directly involved and make it more valuable that way. And that's how I'm going to make my money instead of trying to play the market. Isn't that interesting? And it kind of, when you consider what's going on in our current market, because we really did see something, 2021 was something that you might never see again. It really was a unique market, right? It really was a unique market, and it makes you wonder where it's going. Because, 1965, in the 60s, that was like a great bull market, and then there was a crash. But like the really interesting period in market history, one of the interesting periods in the market's history was in the 80s when all of this other stuff happened. Like the markets really changed, and a lot of the ideas that we have today about successful trading really came from the 80s and 90s when these people were pioneering this stuff. A lot of stuff that you can't really do anymore. Uh, the it's kind of entrenched now, and it's really difficult to make money doing these things, right? You need some sort of an in. You need some sort of pile of money to start with, or something like that. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be other changes in the future, right? There could be huge changes in the future, and hopefully what we know about the markets, we're experienced and we're able to take advantage of those, that we'll be better positioned to take advantage of those opportunities in the future when they come. Just it might be a while before they come. I don't know. Sometimes I worry that this market is going to be a little crazy for a while, But to the original comment, there are a lot of people out there that did a lot of stupid things and are probably losing lots of money, because the money that they made was never sustainable to begin with. And that's why we didn't participate in that nonsense to the extent that other people did. Skimmed a little off the top in the GameStop thing and then walked away. Because I knew that people were just going crazy. They were just being crazy. Wow. This market. Well, so hold on. There's something. Yeah. Okay. No big deal. Let's come back over here to Twitter and make sure I'm not missing out on something. I do have. Oh yeah. Okay. I do have the new squawk on. I'm just not really hearing anything. By the end of the day, France's President Macron is to conduct conversations with international allies about Ukraine. Putin says sanctions against us will be imposed anyways, regardless of the real reason. Well, trying to see, it kind of seems to me like while we were yapping about that nothing all that interesting has really happened. I feel like I'm missing something though. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something here. I don't know. So, anyways, if you have HBO Max, go and watch the Carl Icahn documentary. I thought it was really good. Putin Belarus drills are defensive, don't threaten anyone. Yeah. Oh, Taleb is going to write a Medium post, huh? Remember that Edward Snowden is a fraud. Dude, watching Taleb and Snowden go at it is quite entertaining for me. You know what? I don't think I'm a fan of Snowden. Like, don't get me wrong, the government shouldn't be spying on us. And I might not like the way that he went about it, but that was information that should have been made public. But you don't do that and then run off to Russia, right? And I think that a lot of what Snowden says on Twitter and stuff is not. Yeah, I kind of agree with Taleb on that. I think in that battle, I have to side with Taleb. As ZF is at its lows. So what I'm seeing here, by the way, is like after that initial spike. So there was the initial spike, and then we're having like the, you know, the liquidity hole kind of period, whatever, the rebalancing period. And during that rebalancing period, we've seen a pretty decent amount of curve flattening come in. Now, I think the reason that might be is because the retail sales, right? The Canadian retail sales were not good. And it's similar to the US. Well, actually the US retail sales were actually pretty good, right? But the Canadians ones were not. We've gotten a couple of economic points that have been bad lately, right? Like at first it seemed like everything was going good. But like the last two or so have been bad. So there was an article yesterday on Zero Hedge from that was citing the Goldman Sachs analysts saying that the risks to a slowdown in the economy are perhaps higher than we initially thought. So if that's the case, then what should we see happen? We should see curve flattening, right? Because that means that the Federal Reserve is tightening into a slowdown, and therefore, when they raise rates, it will slow down growth far more than they want, and it won't be hard for them at all to fight inflation. And before you know it, they'll be lowering rates again, and hence the flattener. Because the longer, if you're not going to change, if you're going to raise rates and then lower them again within the course of 5 years, then, in less than 5 years, then why should the maturities that are further out than 5 years do anything? That's just a little bump in the road that doesn't matter to them. That's why you get flattening. Nick Cartel says, I can't escape the thought that crypto industry has a far greater enthusiasm for funding innovative Ponzi's than it does for funding financial tools that can actually resist the state. Yeah. Yeah. 100% does. No, that's 100% what's happened. Is the Bitcoin community said, oh, we want a financial instrument that encourages people to hodl and not one that actually gets used. Even though I think that one that actually gets used is more valuable in the long run. Like, that's the thing that's kind of funny about it, is like, if we go back to 2016, if we could do a history do-over, we go back to 2016 and the other side won. Let's say that Blockstream lost and Bitcoin Cash never happened, that's just the main branch, and Bitcoin is still an actively used currency, then I think what you would see is a lot more payment processors using Bitcoin. Adoption would have continued to increase. And then in the case here with the protesters, there would still be the problem that the price of Bitcoin fluctuates a lot. You would still see market declines, large deflationary spirals, but people would use it, and that would overall be a huge boon to the cryptocurrency market, and it would probably already be worth over $100,000 now if they had done that. But I guess it's a good thing that they didn't. If I really think that the larger thing about Bitcoin is a bad idea, then I guess it's a good thing that they didn't do it. But it's not a good thing for them, the people that believe in Bitcoin. But they only have themselves to blame because they all went along with it. Blockstream won that, and the people that are all involved in Bitcoin, they all believed Blockstream. Trading Floor Audio tweeting here. Just a repeat of the headline we saw earlier. Self-proclaimed Republic of Luhansk in eastern Ukraine orders evacuation of people. That is not a good sign, right? That is not a good sign. That kind of suggests that it really is happening. It really is going to happen. Chelsea Clinton to launch books. Who cares? You know, the Hill. It's the Hill. Whatever. Dow Jones lower Omicron efficacy, delayed FDA review on the Pfizer shot in kids under 5. Now that's interesting. Get some water here. Just realizing my camera wasn't quite set up quite the way I wanted it. Roku is down 27%. Man, it's just like clockwork. So the one I was joking about yesterday, was it yesterday? Was Palantir. Do you guys remember me complaining about Palantir? When I was like, it's not entirely clear what they're doing, and I'm a data science guy, and I'm pretty sure that they're not worth what people are valuing them at. And that's great that they have like these big name investors behind it, but I think that it's mostly hype. And sure enough, they missed earnings the other day and they were down like 20%. There's just this huge collection of stocks, all of the stocks that everybody on Wall Street bets and all of these people were really pushing. And when it finally comes down to it, they're disappointing. And not every company disappointed, right? Apple did good. Amazon did good. Amazon did really good. But all of these meme stocks are bombing. Just like clockwork, like one after another after another. Kremlin spokesman asked about the evacuation from eastern Ukraine says, I don't know what is happening there now, reports IFAX. And China saying it regrets the EU launched a legal challenge against China at the World Trade Organization. We are seeing a little rise in the dollar here. So seeing the dollar come in could be a sign that further flight to safety is occurring, right? I'm disappointed we had this downside action, but we never got to 126 even. That's where I'm trying to take a contract off. I don't know if it makes sense for me to try and do anything right now at 19, though. I could try to take another contract from here to 15, but given options expiration and the risk of further headlines, I don't know if it makes sense for me to try and make a choice right now. I think that we should continue to monitor this closely because I'm guessing that later on we're going to have another move of some sort. Well, should we do our poll again today? About Russia? This weekend, Russia will do nothing. Limited action, limited invade disputed areas and option. Can I add 2 more options? Yes, I can. No. Limited action. Limited action. Invade disputed areas or invade Kiev. Ask your community. We're talking about just this weekend. We'll do this one, and then we can do a poll about the dog. We can do a poll about the dog. By the way, where's my Evernote? Pork chop. My goodness. It'll let me pick like 4 or 5 options. So I have to pick 4 or 5. But I think the top ones are still Oreo and Nostradamus. Need to learn how to spell it. Putin just says the opposite of what Biden says. It sure seems, dude. You know what's okay? So here's something that's going on that really frustrates me. I mean, it really frustrates me. Okay, is like we've basically got a propaganda war going on between the United States and Russia, right? The United States is saying Russia's going to attack, and we're going to foil their attacks by making the information public. And Russia is saying that we're, that the USA is warmongering and yada, yada, yada. So there is definitely a battle for the hearts of the world, right? But then there's this other thing that we get, which is like any time that somebody in the United States says something that the people in power don't like, they accuse them of being a Russian agent, right? Like over in Canada with these protesters, they're saying that these protesters are being influenced by Russia to do this stuff. And it's just so it's like such a transparent propaganda manipulation kind of tactic, right? Like it's comical. Like, how can anybody possibly take that seriously? And it really greatly bothers me, because how can you expect Americans to take what our government says seriously when it matters? Okay, when there's an actual conflict, like if there's a war between the United States and Russia, our government's ability to communicate to the people and to rally us around collective action is going to be really important. And if they're blowing all of that credibility and effort and everything on short tiny political fights, people basically trying to exercise their rights or trying to they're people protesting, and you use this kind of propaganda against them on protesting, and nobody's going to take them seriously when it matters, when it actually matters. You know what I mean? Like this line that they're taking, that the protesters are like Russian agents, is, I think, extremely irresponsible. Unless you have like real intelligence that you can share with the public that shows that it is actually being driven by Russians, which they don't. And so because of that, what I'm seeing is kind of like what Octavius Azia's attitude here is. Like, Putin is just saying the opposite of what Biden says. It's like, we don't really trust either of them, do we? Like, the situation should be, I trust what my government is doing when it comes to protecting my security. And even though what they're saying might not always be the accurate thing, they're saying the thing that is in the best interests of my country at that time. And I can be confident in going along with it, that it will ultimately be good for my country. And I can't say that right now because of the kind of bullshit that we see Democrats pull all the time about this sort of stuff. I sold out against Trump. Did I sell out? I don't think that I sold out. Here's what I think happened. Here's my view of it. We had a leader come in. I try to be the team player, because I understand the way that these things work is that collective action matters more. It does. The people that act together are going to be more successful. Always. That's just the way that it works. Even if they're pursuing not the most efficient strategy, right? So I'm the team player. I think that Donald Trump did a lot of good things. And then when he stopped being president, he stopped being a team player. That's what really happened. Is I think that he kind of left the coalition because he was butthurt about losing. And he was butthurt that we didn't try and overthrow the entire system to keep him in power. Is what I think happened. And I didn't leave him. I think he left us, because I still believe in putting America's interests first and foremost. That putting America's interest first ultimately is better for the whole world, because the United States needs to remain strong. I still believe that the United States needs to be competitive against China. I still believe that a lot of people, politicians and stuff, are making decisions that are weakening us against China, or are giving China an advantage, and that China is basically trying to use our system against us. I still believe all of those things. I'm still a Republican. It was Donald Trump is the one that went off the deep end. That's what I think. And I think that he's going to try and come back and run for office again. At least right now, that sure seems like what's going to happen. And I don't think I can vote for him again. No, I don't think he would win. First and foremost, so it would be pointless to even vote for him, right? Like in the Republican primaries, it would be pointless to vote for Donald Trump in the Republican primaries because he was going to lose. Last time around, it was like, well, he's going to become the nominee, and he actually might stand a good chance at winning. So let's go for it. That's what my thinking was last time I voted for him in the primaries. But this time, nope. Vote Hillary. Do you think that Hillary will run again? That's a more interesting question. How many of you have voted on this one? So you guys still think do nothing. One of you thinks that they'll invade Kiev. So kind of, it sounds to me like, actually, so two say invade Kiev now. I'll leave it open here and maybe wait until it gets like 20 votes. And then we can ask you guys if you think that Hillary will run for president again. Because I think that people have kind of come to the conclusion that Donald Trump is going to run again. So now the question is Hillary, because I'm hearing the whispers of Hillary in 2024. I'm starting to Hillary. I swear I will unsubscribe there's no way I would vote for Hillary. No way. Absolutely. Listen, I'm gonna vote for the Republican. Unless there's like some sort of really bizarre third party rotation sort of a situation, like there was in Andrew Jackson's day. I don't think that that's ever going to happen. Because you know what's one of the things that I find, let me say, frustrating. I find everything frustrating, guys. That's just, I'm a frustrated person. No, when it comes to the whole third party sort of a thing, why is it that the third parties that people want are either communism or anarchy? That's what it seems to me. Is like the people that want a third party. It's not that they want a third party because they want some sort of like more moderate third party that like more accurately aligns with their interests or something like that. No, they want like anarchy. The libertarian types. That's what I see on the right is whenever there's like we need a third party. They're actually like a Ron Paul fan, like they're libertarian, Camilla, my eye is twitching. Can we see my eye twitching? No, I don't think I slept enough last night. I'm sleeping. We put the baby to bed at a good time. So here's what's going on. We'll put the baby to bed too late and he'll wake up too late. But if we put the baby to bed at a decent time, he'll wake up in the middle of the night. And because that's what people naturally do, is they wake up in the middle of the night to do a few things, and then you go back to sleep. That's the way that it was back before we had light bulbs. But when the baby wakes up in the middle of the night, what he does is he will crawl on me and start smacking me in the head as hard as he can to try and wake me up. And I ignore him and try and sleep through it. So I don't think that I slept enough this week, and that's probably why my eye will go through this little muscle spasm thing sometimes. You criticize them all, but you give up on the one that sides with you. No, and that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. That's what babies do. I think that is right. I think that that's just what happens is that babies wake up in the middle of the night and smack you in the head. He's 2. He's 2, but he has some sort of developmental problem. My parents tell me that I didn't start speaking until very late. I don't recall the exact specifics, but the grandparents don't seem to be worried yet. So I think it might have been the case that I didn't start speaking until I was like almost 3. But he doesn't talk right now at all. He communicates with us, but the way that he communicates with us is going, yeah, and he can definitely hear. But if you call his name, he does not react to his name. And if I try and hold him like this and have him look at me, he won't look at me. So I think that I'm ADHD, so maybe he's just ADHD. Maybe he's high functioning autistic. I don't know, but he doesn't speak yet. So he's 2. He's 2, but he's not like other 2-year-olds. There's some odd ways. I'm way more than ADHD. Is that what you meant to say there? I'm pretty sure that I am not autistic. So this is kind of an interesting subject to me. I don't really know the answer of this. They're saying that autism is a spectrum and that ADHD is somewhere on that spectrum, right? But to me, oh, that's not what you meant. What did you mean to say then? No. When you call his name, does he look at you? No, not usually. It requires great effort to get him to look at you when you call his name. Like he can clearly hear you and he'll just ignore you. And it's not until you like start screaming his name that he turns around and is like, "What are you doing? What? But let's talk about why that is. So I've been reading about it, like what is with the eye avoidance in particular. And it came down to 3 things. They don't understand that you can understand more about what a person is thinking by looking at their eyes instead of looking at their mouth is the first thing. Number 2 is that they don't have the social motivation, like the chemicals that make you want to be social aren't there. They're more interested in something else. And number 3 is that they're actually like they can't process it. It's like trying to listen to somebody speak and understand what they're saying and watch the emotion in their eyes is too much stimuli for them. They get overstimulated because one of the problems in autism in particular is overstimulation. That's why like a sharp noise is really bothersome to someone with autism. Like you guys remember in The Big Short, the autistic fund manager, that he would wear like really heavy headphones with loud and play loud music because he was trying to drown out all other noise outside of the world because those other stimuluses were too bothersome to them, right? ADHD person doesn't really get that. ADHD person is very easily distracted, but they don't necessarily feel overstimulated. In fact, ADHD person loves having all of the stimulation around, and that can kind of be part of the problem, right? But the key thing that I see that's different between somebody with ADHD and someone with autism is that someone with ADHD just can't control where their focus is, right? Whereas somebody with autism has like a problem, like even understanding basic human emotions, right? So I don't understand how that becomes a spectrum. Is it like, because it doesn't seem to me that like people with autism are like people with ADHD, but with even more severe symptoms or something like that, right? So that's how I don't see how it's like a spectrum, you know? It seems to me like they're like very separate things. One of them is the inability to perceive other people's emotions and thoughts, and one of them is the inability to control your attention, right? Now, it also seems to me, though, that either of those two things could perhaps explain my son's behavior, right? Because if he has a hard time controlling his attention and he is more interested in playing with cars than he is trying to understand what you're saying and start speaking, then that could delay the speech until he realizes how useful speaking would actually be, right? So I don't know. We got an appointment set up. We'll see what the actual deal is and what I'm supposed to do about it. They lack empathy basically because they don't understand. Yeah, because they literally don't feel those emotions. It's autism is a really weird thing. I gotta tell you, like the high functioning. I don't know. The other thing is that like when I was growing up, autism was like, you're constantly going like this and they don't talk or they talk really weird, like Rain Man, and they can, I don't know. But now there's like this high functioning autism, which is just like you're overly logical and non empathetic, which is like, oh, okay. Seems like something different to me. But then there's also like one of the things that happens to me is because I'm on amphetamines. Um, I'm overly logical and not very empathetic. Not that I don't have the ability to see other people's emotions. And when I'm off of medication, which hasn't been years, but when I was off of medication, I was extremely empathetic, apparently. Like, my ability to connect with people was really good. I feel like I've lost that. I wonder sometimes, would the stream be different if I had that? But I don't know. It's not the same thing when you guys are through the camera, There's like 7 things that they mark off when they say someone has an ADHD. It just happens to be one of those things, but it's not all 7. Well, it concerns me a little bit, but the thing that keeps me from going like, oh no, I've given birth to a mutant and I shouldn't have children anymore is, even though this is the last one. The baby that my wife has right now, she's pregnant right now. That's going to be the last one. That's going to be the last one. But the thing that keeps me like being like, oh, it'll be okay is that I was like that too, apparently. So he could just be exactly like me and just won't start speaking for another 6 months. And I'm told that when I started speaking, it was very fast. Like I went from literally saying nothing, like maybe saying mom and dad, to full sentences just all of the sudden one day, is what my parents said. So it should be interesting. But when the whole thing that started was the baby hitting me in the middle of the night. I mean, I know that that's a baby thing, but it's also the way that is just a little off. He's not the way that the other kids were, at least my wife says. But then it will also be interesting to see if his brother ends up being the same. I don't know. I'm probably like way more concerned about it than I should be, huh? Do you think? You think so? I think I'm probably more concerned about it than I should be. Oh, by the way, we got 15 votes on here. Do nothing, limited action, invade disputed areas, invade Kiev. Okay, well, that's interesting. So let's do the next poll. Shall we move on to the next poll? I need to relax. You know what? I think that. So here's something that I've been learning in my older years. I've never considered myself an anxious person, but it seems to me that I can be an anxious person. Was never, you know, I think that it's required like a great deal of introspection on my part to realize how I am like this. But that's this sort of a thing I'm really concerned about it. And maybe I shouldn't be. I need to relax and just like there's like nothing I can do about it right now, I suppose, right? Doesn't It's not necessarily a knock on me. I don't know. Well, your genetics aren't perfect, you know. Nobody's perfect. But sometimes you wonder where actually am I on the genetic hierarchy? And sometimes I feel like, nah, you're kind of at the bottom rung of the genetic hierarchy, Seth. But then other times I'm like, nah, you're just an average person. You're just an average person that just happens to have ADHD, which is really common. You know what I mean? It's like that feeling of inadequacy. That's like the anxiety sort of a thing. It's like you're thinking about it more than you necessarily need to. When it comes to your own kid, any cool person will. That's probably true too. That's probably true too. It's that anybody's going to be concerned if there's a problem with their child. Because I want him to grow up and like all of the kids. You know what the funny thing is? So remember we were having this conversation the other day about my stepchildren, and I was saying I don't know if my stepchildren will like the math and the other things that would be necessary for them to be um to enjoy trading and Wall Street kind of stuff, right? But I was thinking about it the other day, and that's so dead wrong. Like number one, um, I am not sure if they're going to be super into math or not. Like it's not until you get to trigonometry, I think, that you really find out how much you like or dislike math, right? And it's not even most people don't like math. It's just some people dislike it more than others, right? I don't think that their mom really likes math. Okay, so I'm a little worried about that. But you know what? They can still get to calculus. They can still push their way through calculus. And you know what? Um, if they're not like the data wonk, that's doesn't mean that there aren't other opportunities for them. Because you know, watching that Carl Icahn thing the other day, for instance, is like a good example. Like uh, the oldest in particular has really amazing language skills. Like a lot of it was just him using the iPad and browsing the internet, but he can read at like a college level. He was reading at like a college level in elementary school. He has really strong language skills. That is something that can get you really far on Wall Street, because that's apparently a lot of what helped Carl Icahn. You know. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. What's Steven saying here? I'm not saying that at all. My son is awesome. He's a junior in high school, and he's honestly the easiest of my three. The other two are typical. It's just early intervention is honestly, I think, what saved him. Because it's so. If I understood that correctly, he is straight up. He's high functioning autistic, right? And you're saying that early intervention made a big difference, huh? Looks like the U.S. will start the war for Russia. You think so, huh? Bitcoin has dropped below 40K apparently. Yep, just now dipping below to new lows of the session. I don't see any new stuff going on here. While we've been chatting, the S&P 500 opened, but the open has been pretty lackluster. Rand Paul threatens to block Ukraine-Russia resolution. Okay. Yesterday, Kathy Wood was tooting Roku on TV. Today it is down 26. Did you see that whole thing about Kathy Wood having an interview with CNBC? And CNBC only has the trial version of Zoom, and they started the call. So halfway through the interview, the message came up saying, "Do you want to extend your trial?" or something like that. And then they said, "Hey, we'll give you a free subscription or whatever." But then the things that she was saying in that interview, she is like, I can't tell. Okay, wait. Did we start the new poll? Because I want to know what you guys think about Kathy Wood too. Let's ask about Kathy Wood. Is Kathy? Oh, this is with a C. Kathy, C and an IE. Kathy Wood is a delusional. She's delusional. She's either delusional, just trying to get the writing it for all it's worth, or a genius. It's one of those three things. She's either an absolute genius, and in the end, she's going to prove us all wrong, and she's going to make tons and tons of money, or she is an absolute gambling addicted, crazy person that has no clue what she's doing and is delusional, or she understands the problems with what she's doing and everything else, but she's doing it anyways because she wants the people to contribute to her fund, and that's how she makes money. It's one of those three things, and I'm not sure which one it is. You don't know who Kathy Wood is? Oh my gosh. Man, you're missing out on some of the best entertainment on Wall Street right now, my man. This is Kathy Wood. Kathy Wood is the founder, CEO, and chief investment officer of ARK Invest, which is a what is the word that they say? It's an innovation fund. So they invest in startup companies that are doing disruptive technologies, essentially. Okay, so her largest position was Tesla, and she made so much money on Tesla that they were essentially the top performing fund in 2020. So when they became the top performing fund in 2020, she got a lot of attention for it. Well, Kathy is also quite the televangelist. So they have, I think it's a YouTube channel that they do it through. But she is giving talks and really talks to her audience, her investors, a lot. And this is where it kind of starts to get crazy, because so first of all, it's like a cult. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, go and watch the videos. It's like a cult. And she brings a lot of she brings a lot of her, like, I think she's Baptist or something like that. It's kind of like this Baptist like Christianity into it too, and just says some like really bizarre things in some of her web conferences. So she's just really quite weird that way, right? And so when people started to see that was like the red flags, right? People are like, she's not. What they're doing here is not very smart. Like, the only reason that they made so much money is because they got lucky on Tesla, and it's not going to continue to perform well. But so many people, and I really mean so many people, invested in it. Like, they were not only the top performing hedge fund in 2020, but they were getting like the most investments, like they were the most popular, everything, right? Meanwhile, we're sitting here watching the decisions that she makes, and the decisions that she makes are just absolutely insane. It's like there's a company and earnings come out and the company is just doing dismally bad. And it's down and Kathy says, "Oh, that means that we should buy some more." So they buy even more of this company. Oh, and by the way, they're already like the largest operator of that company, and there's absolutely no way that they could sell out their position without completely crashing the value of the company. Because not only do they own a ton of it, but it's a super tiny company to begin with anyways, right? So it's almost like she didn't understand that the mere act of her buying it is what's making it go up, and that when she has to sell it, it's going to go down and they're just going to lose everything, right? She's basically like chasing her own bubble, right? Is kind of what it looks like. And so that's why I say I'm not sure if she just doesn't know this stuff. Like she doesn't understand optimal execution and how orders move markets and block orders and all of that sort of a thing. Or she does understand that stuff, but she's doing it anyways because that's what gets them the most investments and makes her the most money. And I can't tell which one it is. Or if she's really just a genius. I mean, if she comes back in 2023 and, continues to be the top performer, then we're all going to look like idiots, right? But I just can't tell which one it is. The Russian President Putin says sanctions against, we read that one. Western official states that we are in the most dangerous phase of the Ukraine crisis thus far. Yeah. It looks to me like the title is it over yet? Looks to me like it ain't over yet. You think that it's probably a little bit of all three? No, I think that it has to be one or the other. I think it has to be one or the other. She either doesn't understand it, she understands it and she's just taking advantage of it, or she's on such a higher level of thinking that she's just going to end up being right despite everything that we say that says that this is a bad idea. I really think it's going to be most of you are saying that she's writing it for all it's worth so far. 8 votes. 25% delusional, 12% a genius. So one of you thinks she's a genius. 2 of you think that she's delusional, and 5 of you think that she's writing it for all it's worth. One could be a delusional genius. If you're picking the genius one, then you're saying that eventually she's going to be successful with it, and that we're all wrong. Anyways, she just says absolutely crazy things. So that CNBC interview that she did yesterday is really like, are you kidding me? Like, okay, like for instance, their largest position is Zoom right now. Okay, why Zoom? Well, it's a disruptive technology that we believe in, yada, yada, yada. No, it's not. Dude, there are like 5 teleconferencing applications out there. Zoom happens to have the best interface, but the difference between these things is not very much. And the background infrastructure and everything that you need to run this kind of a business is not that big. So there isn't a very big barrier of entry. You're probably at the point right now where teleconferencing is like the strongest, the most use that it's ever going to see, like it's peaking. And you're only going to see that service become more and more decentralized. So why do you want to be invested in Zoom? What is so great about Zoom that you're going to continue to see strong revenue growth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, especially when their metrics as of late are disappointing. And then you put all of your largest position into Zoom? Like what? It's just absolutely, I think it's absolutely crazy. That's what it sounded like the first time when you explained it, that she got lucky. Yeah. You subscribed to her YouTube. Why did you short the lows? I didn't short the lows. What are you talking about? Are you talking about my 10-year trade right here? This has been a long thing going. This has been on for like 3 or 4 days now. So 4 days ago it was the highs, right? and who knows? Come Sunday morning that my limit orders down here will fill. Yeah. It's more of a swing. Like the position here is that Russia volatility will eventually subside and interest rates are going to rise, and that will cause the 10-year treasury to rise upwards towards 2.25% at some point. And so it's trying to make a long-term play managing that. So the whole question is, so the metric, how we're kind of judge the performance of this, because the probability that we do get to 2.25% eventually is, I'd say, pretty high. So the question is just like, how many ticks against us does it ever get? And when that does happen, how do we manage it? Like, how much risk do we have to take on to do it and stuff? So right now I have 2 contracts on. I'm trying to take the one contract off if we get back to 126. So I don't know. And we got in at 11. So having basically 18 ticks against us isn't particularly great, but we're talking about multiple days. So I don't know, because what I'm trying to sort out is I would love to take swings in these micro treasuries, but every time that I try doing it, I chicken out. Or essentially the amount that I have to allow it to go against me is more than I'm willing to take. So I'm trying to sort that out if that's really what I want to do. Because if that works, and it does seem like I'm pretty good at knowing where the interest rates are going to go and that there's some momentum that you can play with it. If that works, then I think the idea is to start trading that more and put money behind that and transition towards a CTA strategy and eventually start managing other people's money. Is kind of the thinking there. I don't know. I feel like that either one, at some point in my career, I took a left turn and didn't go the direction that I was supposed to go, or that the real opportunity for me, the real thing that I'm supposed to do, that I'm going to be truly successful with, I just haven't found yet. That's how I feel. And so I've just kind of been looking at the commodity space. People say, one of the Goldman Sachs, well, not one of the main Goldman Sachs commodities analyst is saying that we may be at the beginning of a commodities super cycle. If we're at the beginning of a commodities super cycle and I want to be as successful in that market as possible, then CTA strategies is the place to be, right? So I'm trying to learn more about that. Trying to learn more about machine learning. I think I finally found the machine learning book that I want to go into, but I need a better understanding of statistics before I dive into that book, I think. So maybe that's where we go. I don't know. Maybe we just continue to be successful in the treasuries. I've done well this week. I've only taken a few trades, but the few trades that I took were all very successful. If you're looking for long-term profits, look for dividends and real estate. Well, I'm not sure that I'm necessarily looking for long-term profits. I think I'm looking for 2 things. Number one is the thing that I find the most engaging, and the thing that I find has the greatest benefit on society. Like I'm looking to become something more, you know? Yeah, trading is gambling and fun. I really agree with that a lot. I'm agreeing with that more and more. I'm not saying that you can't be successful scalping. It's just I don't think that you should go into it with this idea that you're going to become rich through scalping. It just doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't. You've got to get really effing lucky, man. What was the name of the book? Well, so the name of the book was Machine Learning in Finance, but who was it? Hold on, let me find it here. I went and downloaded it. It's by Matthew F. Dixon. Machine Learning in Finance from Theory to Practice. And it was published in 2020. But the reason that I selected this book, of course, I had heard about it before this, but I was reading an article where the guys that wrote this book had received some sort of an award for their work in this. What time does your ladder profile start? So my I forget which one is which. I have one of them. I think that my micros resets at the beginning of the session, like the regular session start. The rest of these ones are just extended trading session profile. Oh no, wait, these ones are regular trading session profiles. Yeah, I like to. Here's the thing about volume profiles. Okay, people have this idea that you hold the volume profile for the whole day, and then the price that has the most volume, there's something significant about this price, and you can use that price to predict what the future is going to do to some extent. You can base your trades off of what that price is. And I think that that's absolute nonsense. Where I find the volume profile useful is if I have a large meta order coming through, and I know that it's going to form a liquidity hole somewhere. Once a liquidity hole has formed, I really want to see like what the range of that liquidity hole is, and try and maybe if I'm going to take another trade, it's going to be on the edges of that range, right? And that's where I'm going to look at the volume profile, because I want to see how they slipped through this area and then the liquidity hole formed, and then I want to watch the volume build up in the liquidity hole as they get stuck there, right? And so that's how I kind of look at it. If what you're seeing there on the profile is hidden by volume that happened overnight, then, you know, volume that happened overnight that's maybe not even relevant anymore, you know? So this is why I have it reset at that time. But generally speaking, I think that where your volume profile resets isn't really a very big deal, as long as you're keeping an eye on it, that you have some sort of an idea that, okay, the highest volume area is right here in this middle at 19, and that's also where the VWAP is. So even though we had a pretty big move up before the market opened, since the market is opened, we've just ranged in this area, right? And that's all I look at for that. Corn is taking a little move up $5 today. Has everything to say. I'm just prove to me. I like, you know what I mean? What do you think about John Grady's seminars? Is he starting live sessions February? Is it worth it to join? If you have the money. So talking about education is so hard because there's a bunch of problems here with education. for one thing, the market is competitive. So when people want education, I think that what most of us are looking for is show me this strategy, like the specific steps and setup that I need to go through that will lead me to profitable trading. And all I should have to do is just do what you tell me to do, and I'll be a successful trader. I think that's what most people think, right? Well, it doesn't work that way because the market is competitive. If it really worked that well, then other people would be trading it, and it's already going to be arbitraged out of the markets. And I think that a lot of what John Grady teaches is kind of like this is what happened. And I gotta be very clear. If anything that I say here seems like a knock on John Grady, it's not, because I really respect him. He was where I initially learned how to trade, and I think he has so much insightful stuff to say and to share. Okay, so he's a really good guy to listen to. Okay, but I really think that what happened was you had these guys that they made a lot of money from electronic trading, and John Grady basically came into the tail end of that era and learned what they were doing. I don't know how successful he was with it because he's never really said anything about it, but I assume that he probably had some success with it. And then the firm that he was working with went under, and he started doing it on his own. And so he caught the tail end of an era of stuff that basically got taken over by the robots. Right. And so now it's basically all about trying to adjust that kind of a strategy to still be competitive in a world with robots. And I don't know. It seemed to me when I've looked at what he does that he rides it a lot closer than I used to. Whenever I tried running it closer, it didn't work out. But he's literally like, he'll take a trade, and if it goes like 1 or 2 against him, he's out. And he's only just trying to let it run how far it runs, and then if it goes 1 or 2 back, he gets out. And so it's really, really like way more scalpy than I ever tried to do it. And really what it is he comes in and he trades, and he just goes through what he's thinking and doing, right? So if you're new to this and you don't really know anything about the level 2 outside of what he has said in his beginner's book, and you don't know a whole lot about the stock market or the treasury market, then listening to him can be a really valuable thing, right? Is it worth $5,000 or whatever it is that he charges now? Well, that's up to you. Because here again, if he could just give you like just a system that would always work, things would be different. The reality is that there's things about the market that kind of prevent that sort of thing from happening, right? But that doesn't make the education worth it. It just kind of means that it's really hard to quantify the education, right? Like people traditionally will quantify the education by saying, well, you're going to make this much money from using my education system, so you should be able to justify spending this much money on using it. But the reality is that nothing that they can tell you can be consistent. That's just because of the nature of the market. So at that point, how much is the education worth to you becomes a very personal thing, doesn't it? And how much money you actually have to spend on it is a really big factor, right? Yeah, and then the problem it could still be that it might not be right for you personally. That's a good point too. My whole approach here is I want you to understand the market as it is and learn how to, excuse me, I'm getting like the hiccups or something here. Hold on. My approach is I want you to understand the market as it truly is, and not how we want it to be, or somebody's naive interpretation of it, but the actual evidence facts about what the market actually is and how it behaves, and be able to use that information to potentially develop your own profitable strategies. That's my goal, right? I'm not trying to teach you a strategy or trying to get you to trade the way that I trade, nor am I trying to make my living off of teaching. I could probably at this point, it didn't start out this way. You know, this is the thing that's so funny is when this started out, I was still relatively new to futures. I knew a lot about the markets. So I think that a lot of people liked to hear me because I had worked at a Wall Street bank, and I had been watching the market for years and years and years, but I was relatively new to futures, right? I had only been doing it for a year or two when we started the stream. Now we've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. We've developed quite advanced knowledge that I think is well above and beyond 99% of what you're going to see out there from anywhere else in the retail space. And I really truly believe that. It is a fact. It is just straight up a fact. The stuff that we're sharing on this channel is more advanced and more accurate. Most other channels, you're hearing them share technical strategies and kind of like general tips that are basically generated from people's experience, whereas what we're teaching you here is the actual empirical properties of the markets, the actual research, and the people that are writing this research are the very best in the field. Jean-Philippe Bouchard is the co-founder of Capital Fund Management, who has some of the most successful CTA strategies out there on a 5-year, risk-adjusted performance benchmark, right? So we're teaching like real serious stuff. And there is literally nobody else on YouTube or anywhere else in the retail space that is sharing this information. And somebody shared it with me, and I really appreciate it. But maybe we should be keeping it quiet. But I have come to find that number one, the information, it's not a setup. It's not a setup. Like, the thing that's really interesting about it is like, I have no evidence to support the idea that I can just watch the movement of price or watch the DOM, and I can see a specific pattern in the DOM that will give me a reliable percentage chance of winning in a certain situation. Like, if I give it an equal risk reward, that it will touch my my target before it will touch my stop 55 to 60% of the time. I've never been able to find anything even remotely close to that. Okay. Never been able to find anything even remotely close to that. But it works the other way around. If I know that an order is coming in, if I had it like this whole block trading scandal, right? If you were tipped off that a block trade is coming through, you can predict how it will play out almost exactly. The effect that orders have on markets is remarkably consistent. So, of course, front running block trades by getting inside information is you're not supposed to do that. I really hope that block trade scandal, that's going to be interesting. I really hope that because they were talking to the Goldman guys. I knew those guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the trader that I talked to one day, and they were doing block trading. But I have a hard time believing that they would leak that information to other funds and let the other funds front run it. Like, you talk to people to try and make sure that there's liquidity and stuff, but you don't let on that there's another deal going on. Absolutely not. There's no way. There's no way. Okay. But if you knew that there was a block trade coming through, you could predict what's going to happen almost exactly. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out that a block trade is going through just by using more public information. Basically, I'm making the determination that a fund is going to execute a block trade of some sort simply because I know how they behave so well that I know what they're going to do before even they know. That's what I'm trying to do, right? And so that's kind of the thing that we're doing, okay? Well, when we started out, it was just like a journal. It was just a journal, and so I wasn't out to make a trading course or anything like that. At this point, I could make a course. At this point, I could absolutely make a course and I could make a ton of money off of it. I could probably charge people $1,000 to $5,000 a pop and literally just live on that. No question about it in my mind that I could do that. But you know what? I don't think that would be the most beneficial thing for you guys. I don't think that would be the most beneficial thing for me, actually, either. You know? Like, if I could come in and I could just make $5,000 a month selling a course, what incentive would I ever have to do anything else? You know what I mean? Like, I do want to make money from doing the YouTube, but like I think it's got to be in a way that pushes us, you know? Like this thing that's been going on where I post the YouTube shorts and TikToks where I make fun of the day's stories. I find that challenging. I find trying to select which news stories are the best ones to make fun of, that are either going to be the most useful to you or are going to be the funniest, and then coming up with a joke for all of them to make a video, and saying it in a way and presenting it in a way that's funny and entertaining and keeps people interest is like really challenging, right? And I think that going through that exercise has allowed me to make regular VOD videos that are more effective. I'm hoping that this next VOD video that I have for you guys will be, will keep your attention really well and you'll learn a lot from it because it's really important information. You got destroyed today. I got complacent. How many trades did you take? Did you start tilting? Or was it just like you had one trade that was really bad? Oh, wait, here you got the 2,700. How many trades did it take for you to get to that? Oh, Phil, 48. Oh, yeah, you overtraded, bro. But you know what? It's like these Fridays option expiration days is often when that sort of a thing will happen to you, you know? It's always when you lose too much money, it's always you took too many trades, huh? Why is it that when you really made money, it wasn't because you took too many trades? I don't know. I digress. Anyways, so I do think that writing a book would be an appropriate thing to do. And I think that writing a book is a much better way of doing it. I think that I could write a book because one of the other things is that if I was running a training course, I'm kind of sitting there saying, okay, I am the teacher and you come and ask questions of me and I'm going to teach this course, sort of a thing, right? And I don't want to spend my time doing that. I want to spend my time getting better, right? I want to spend my time helping you guys get better. So writing a book would be a great challenge and I think would be really beneficial to you guys. And then that is, I'm going to give you the information and take it or leave it. So I think that I will write a book at some point if I ever get the time. But I don't want to run a course. I really don't want to run a course. There's nothing immoral about running a course per se. I feel that most of the courses out there, you really aren't getting your money for it. Most of the courses. I think that what I'm teaching you here on this channel is going to be more beneficial to you because you're not just learning somebody's opinion about it. You're actually learning what the market really is. You're learning the information that the banks use to trade. But so there's nothing wrong with providing a course per se. It's just that most people don't do it very well. But I don't think that it's the appropriate thing for me to do. I don't think that it's the best thing for me to do for you. Yeah? Is that fair? Do you agree with me? Or do you guys really want me to just make a course? Because if you really, really wanted me to do, I guess I could do that. But in my experience, diverges. My 5 most profitable days have been my 5 highest volume days. And well, that's good. I mean, I was kind of saying that tongue in cheek because essentially what I'm saying is that what happens is when we are doing well, we kind of stop trading. And when we're doing poorly, we want to keep going, when it should probably be the opposite. If we're doing well, you should, if it's that day, you should push it for all it's worth, right? By the way, what was Montgomery Skinner here saying about VUM today? I don't know what that means. And a few weeks ago going through your programming videos. Yeah. So here's something that I'm struggling with right now, though, is the inelastic theory of markets is like the best piece of information I have. I really think that it really flips everybody's idea of what the market is on its head, especially if you believe in like price action and technical analysis and stuff. Because if prices are inelastic, then why would a double bottom or a higher, lower, why would any of that matter? If markets are inelastic, then the current price doesn't really matter much to what the future orders are going to be at all, right? So it's really one of the most important pieces of information that I can give you. After that video, like, things are wide open again. It's like, okay, here's all of this stuff. Here's the best stuff that I have for them. I planned it all out. I've made it. Now where do we go? We can go into whatever you want. We can go into new things. I think that what I want to do for the next few months is I want to try and make videos that will be popular. Basically, I want to attract new viewers to the channel and then hopefully redirect them to understanding the inelastic theory of markets so that we get more people to understand this. I think that's the goal. So I think the first one I'm going to do after that is going to be about computer monitors, because the most successful video that I have is about computer hardware. And, you know, I am very knowledgeable on that, and I'm very authoritative on that as well. And there's a lot of people searching for that sort of thing. So I think that that's where I should go first, is where I've had success in the past. No, they don't matter from what I have seen. It's just patterns and probabilities. Yeah. Well, but like, that's the thing, is like the probabilities are all random. It's all random. Like, the market is so statistically efficient. It's really quite crazy. It's really, once you get down into understanding it, why the market is so statistically efficient but not informationally efficient is really a fascinating thing. And it has such strong implications, and it really explains like everything. I think it's like, why is this so hard? Well, I'll tell you why this is so hard, because the market is very statistically efficient, but not very informationally efficient. That means that if you try and trade off of something that's technical analysis, that it is not going to work, because you have to compete with everybody and they arbitrage it away. So the only way that you're going to find an edge there is if you find something that nobody else has found. And when you have these millions of robots running through every possible math, combination of indicators and stuff that they can possibly think of and finding what's the most successful, how do you compete with that? You just can't. You just can't. But then when you want to go for the informational side of it, well, because the markets aren't very informationally efficient, you can't just come in and say, well, there's this piece of information and it's not being factored into the market correctly. How do you know that the market is ever going to start factoring it in correctly? There's no way that you can know, because the market is so informationally inefficient, right? And so all of these conundrums and contradictions and stuff really paradoxically resolve themselves once you realize that the market is statistically efficient and not informationally efficient. and all of those things that were paradoxes, they only seemed like paradoxes because people believed that the markets were just efficient all around, which is certainly not the case. You know what? Something that I think is really cool about Carl Icahn is that he like very clearly understands that. He's like, guess what, guys? Companies do not run efficiently. Companies do not run in the way that is the most beneficial for the shareholders. The chairman and the board of directors all too often do what is better for them. And they take too much money off of the top that could be going to you, the shareholder. He's 100% right. Markets are not 100% efficient. I'm concerned. One of the reasons why I'm trying to push this information and trying to share it so strongly is because I don't think that we're efficient enough. I'm concerned that Western culture right now, Western markets are too inefficient to stand up to real competition. And China is starting to turn into real competition. And I'm, if China, they have the people, and that kind of puts us at a disadvantage to begin with when there's less of us, right? And I don't want to live in a world that is dominated by communism, right? We need to win this battle. And in order to win this battle, we're going to have to do better. Our markets are going to have to be more efficient so that we can compete, because if we can't compete on size of scale, if we don't have the absolute number of people to generate the economic activity, and we're never going to compete with that, then we have to be more efficient than them. So the more efficient that our markets can become, the better. And that's why this is so important. Yeah, if you ask anyone outside the finance and economics departments in universities, they all understand this intuitively and speak this out. Yeah, it kind of and kind of not, but it's a really an interesting subject, I think, because you have to wonder, okay, given what we know about markets, why does everybody insist on trading price action, right? Well, it seems like that's just people's natural inclination. That's just the way that people's brains work. They want to look for the patterns, and it's really hard to convince them to do anything else. Like really, if you come in and you tell people markets are statistically efficient but not informationally efficient, why would anybody want to participate in the market knowing that? You get what I mean? Because if it's like, oh, there's this pattern, and if you can figure out this pattern and you can be really consistent about trading it, then you can become a millionaire. And that's really attractive to people. But if you come in and you tell them you can, as hard as you work, any kind of pattern that you're ever possibly going to see is not going to do anything for you because of the competition. And any kind of piece of information that it can provide an advantage, but it can be really hard to take advantage of because you have to know that the orders are actually coming in to bring the market to the place that you want it to be. So why would you trade then at that point? It doesn't mean that you can't make money from trading, right? Because where do we understand from then at that point? It's that to be profitable, you have to predict the orders, and you need to look for things that will actually predict the orders. And that's what hedge funds are doing. That's what these quantitative firms are doing, is they're finding things that actually predict the orders. And that's probably on higher time frames in most cases too, as far as I can tell. Right. So people don't think that the market is fair. The layperson doesn't think that the market is fair. But I don't know if that's the same thing as is the market efficient. You get what I mean? Like the way that we want things to be, we want to think that the market is efficient. And even more so than that, I think that during the Reagan administration, and don't get me wrong, they did a lot of things that were great, okay? The transformation that the stock market saw in the 80s and 90s had a profound impact on our society that was a good thing in the end, and has been good for people. Okay, it's not perfect, but it was an improvement. Okay, I think it was an improvement. But at the same time, we also kind of sold it on this premise that was false. We sold it on this premise that capitalism is perfectly efficient and communism just sucks. And of course, we ended up winning that battle in the end because capitalism is a more efficient allocation of capital than what the communists were doing. That is simply not possible to try and centrally manage every possible transaction and every commodity and all of that sort of thing, right? But the where we kind of didn't do justice was when we pretended like it was perfect, right? So now we kind of have this system where there's a large portion of people in this country on the right, on my side of the aisle, that think that the markets are just perfect and that all we ever need to do is just let them do whatever they want to do, and that will be the best thing. And that's never really actually been the Republican position, and that's never really been what we think, but that's been what they've pursued. And that's not a good thing. And then we got these other people on the other side of the aisle that just want to implement every possible little rule that they can, just because they hate people that make money, I think to some extent. But they're not really thinking about how can we make the market act more effectively. I think that they're more concerned about, I don't like what they're doing because I think that it's either immoral or it leads to inequality or whatever the deal is, right? And what should really be happening is we should be going in and we should be making rules, and we should be saying what is best for the overall system. What will make this more efficient? Okay. For example, in 2021, we saw many market bubbles. And there are two things in particular that we've seen in this market bubble that were inefficiencies created by our actions, right? One was that we pumped too much money into the economy. Larry Summers said that it was going to be too much money. He was right. We now have research that suggests better ways to look at how much stimulus we should put into the economy so that we can right size our stimulus when it's needed. That's really important. Republicans will say there shouldn't be any stimulus at all. They're wrong, okay? Democrats want to just take out as much debt as possible. That's wrong, right? Let's use the research and come up with the right amount. And let's make our actions based on proven research, okay? Math. People that really understand what's going on, you know what I mean? Another thing that happened was this options gamma hedging. So options, people are trading more and more options. And as a result, the options are starting to the tail is starting to wag the dog. And options gamma hedging is starting to become a very dominant flow in the market. Part of why that happens is because we use mark-to-market accounting rules. So if you buy options and you make money from those options, they will mark-to-market what those options are worth at the end of the day, and that's how much margin you have available to you the next day. So the next day, you can use the profits that you made from your options, and you can buy even more stuff. And this becomes important because it allows you to use your orders to push the market in the way that you want things to go, and make your options be worth more and more and more and more. And that's why you see so many people using this options strategy. And where's the inefficiency in there? Well, if you sell those options or you sell that stock that you have, you're not going to get the price that was the close of the day. You're just not. Your executions are going to have an impact on the market. And we don't calculate that impact on the market into our mark-to-market rules. And we should. Because if you did that, it would cancel out the inefficiency. And people wouldn't be able to have this basically like an infinite money glitch to continue to push markets far, far away from fundamental value until the options expiration. And then when options expiration comes, everything crashes, right? So those are two things that we can talk about, that once we understand the inelastic theory of markets, and we understand that the market is more statistically efficient than it is informationally efficient, and we do research based off of that, those are two things right away that would have a meaningful impact on our markets and on our society, isn't it? Right? You see why it's so important? So I appreciate you guys being here every day, and sticking it out with me, because sometimes I'm kind of sitting here like, what am I doing, man? Sometimes I'm like, I'm really good at this, and sometimes I'm like, I suck at this. Sometimes I'm like, why? Even if I'm really good at this, it's like, what's the point? Because it's scalping. You're never gonna. You can only get so far scalping. You just and that's maybe part of why I'm looking at these bigger things. But then at the same time, I already have this one thing that's big. I already have this one thing that we need to get it out to people, and we need more people on YouTube to watch that video that we're going to put out on Tuesday. I think it's going to be Tuesday. We'll see how far I get. But since it's a 3-day weekend, I probably won't have much excuse if I don't put it out on Tuesday. So yeah, but to the comment, it seems like I don't know if it's that people understand that the market is inefficient as much as it is that they think the market is unfair. It seems like people's natural inclination is towards, oh yeah, markets are efficient actually. Like, if I can't make money from doing it, it must be because the market is efficient. When it's kind of because it is efficient, and it's kind of because it's not efficient. Right? Because there's different types of efficiency. And if it was the technical analysis person wants to believe that the market is informationally efficient but not statistically efficient, that's really what you have to believe to want to use technical analysis, right? Just saying. That was like a really big long rant, so I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Let's see here, and that you guys are with me here. You guys still overwhelmingly believe that Kathy Wood is just writing it for all it's worth. You did a good job this. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Octavius. You know what, guys? I can tell you something. I am not responsive to brown nosing. I'm not at all. When somebody is like trying to like brown nose me, I immediately pick it up. I'm immediately suspicious. But I do respond to the social praise too. You know what I mean? It's kind of this weird thing. Oftentimes when people want me to like promote stuff, that sort of a thing, they'll always start trying to appeal to my vanity or something. And I just don't think that that's me, because it really turns me off. It really turns me off. But when we're here as a group and we're trying to encourage each other, and yeah, I did do a good job this week. I did. I didn't take very many trades, and this was a time period where I would like royally screw up. And when I did take trades, it was good. And when I didn't take trades, those were situations where it was appropriate to not take trades. I'm here this morning. It was appropriate to not take trades because we basically created this stupid range that would not have been very good to trade, right? So it is good, and I appreciate it. Anyways, so what was I going to do? Oh yeah, Laura's going to change the poll here. Just have to say that financial juice was a good tip. Thanks. Oh, absolutely, no question. Before we got onto the inelastic market hypothesis, the trying to help retail traders understand that understanding the news is a really critical component to trading, and that you should have a news squawk of some sort. You can use TweetDeck, but having a news squawk is so much better. It absolutely is a worthwhile service. Trading is, effective trading requires a lot of investment in monthly fees and stuff. It's rough, but Financial Juice makes it a lot more accessible. That one was kind of disappointing. I made this video about how to trade the news, and Now, maybe I didn't give a very good presentation. I think that people it was a long video and it was pretty in the weeds a little bit sometimes. But that was a really important video to me, and I don't think that it got the attention that I wanted it to. So unfortunate. But I don't know what else I can do maybe I'll come back another time and take another shot at that one. Okay, will Hillary Clinton run for president again? Ask your community. Oh, you like the tick strike? Yeah, tick strike is not so much my thing, but my problem with tick strike was really more that it just didn't work well with the stream and the tools that I already have. Overall, it looks like a really great tool that can be really beneficial for a certain set of people, right? And it also looks like that there's a lot of room for them to make it even better, and that they're doing those things. Although it's not like their primary focus right now. I think they're more focused on getting their other services like their crypto and stocks services out right now. The marketeer says it's time to change from Russia war experts to SPX head and shoulders experts. Wow. There kind of is a head and shoulders. I see it. It's that right there. And they're going to say, this is the neckline. And if we drop 4,200, then it could get really ugly. And I'm just telling you, my experience since 2008 has been this. It might not be a head and shoulders. Sometimes it's a double top. Sometimes it's some sort of moving average crossover or Fibonacci line or whatever the deal is. But basically, people will draw a certain line on the chart and they'll say, this is the line that we just can't cross. 4,200, if we get below 4,200, it's going to be a disaster. And what will happen is they'll close below 4,200 and the next day will be really awful. And then the next day after that, they'll magically float back up above 4,200 and move right back up to all-time highs. That's what happens every time. Maybe it's different. Maybe now that we have rising interest rates, it's different. But it seems to me that the pattern isn't actually very good at predicting what's going to happen next. Seems to me. The evidence that I have, I don't have any evidence to suggest that that's very good at predicting the future. And the evidence that I do have suggests that that sort of a thing wouldn't work. Based on how we understand the market, that sort of thing would not work. It's not proof that it can't work, but it's our current understanding suggests that it's unlikely. Is ARK down 4.4%? I bet, with Roku getting hit the way it is. Isn't Roku down? Isn't ARK down like 70% now from its high? The Twitter handles will be all like, the Fed is watching my levels, right? Okay, Feds Evans is speaking. Okay, so Evans is saying Current, no, don't move away from here. I want to read this one. Current high inflation requires a substantial repositioning of Federal Reserve policy, but not so much that it will restrict the economy and wreck employment, says Charles Evans. You think they could go lower? Maybe. By the way, where are we at on Bitcoin here? My lips are shedding now. Good grief. So still below 40K, but kind of trying to bounce back above it so far. It didn't turn into a flush yet in Bitcoin. I see a lot of commodities though just look like they're on this upward trajectory. Like oil is doing pretty good this morning, corn is doing pretty good this morning. Gold not so much. Gold has had quite a bit of a pullback, but it's still looking really aggressive. I'm kind of wondering if gold continues to behave the way that it's been, we might be at $2,000 before the end of the month, right? A lot of gold bugs would be happy about that. All right, let's see. Where are we at on our poll? 8 votes, but 75% of you say no, huh? I'm actually, I didn't think that you guys, I figured that the majority of you would say no, but with all of the rumblings out there, I thought that more of you would say that she might try and run. Let's see, is there a market out there for that? Let's go to predict it and see if there's a market for this. Predict it. Next Supreme Court Justice. Let's see here, U.S. elections. No, maybe 2024 presidential election winner. Trump losing GOP primary by July 1st. I'm not going to take that one because maybe he doesn't run. Well, let's go and look at the rules on that. That one might be worth taking. Harris, the 47th president. I don't see one that's who will be the Democrat nominee. Ivanka Trump in 2022 Florida general GOP Senate primary. That's funny. So on the who will win the presidential election, Hillary Clinton doesn't even show up right now. Will any national GOP primary poll? Oh, that is different than what I thought it was. Yeah, that I don't think that you'll see any polls showing someone beating Trump by July 1st. No, probably not. But when it actually comes to voting, I think there's a good chance. Okay, well, we got about 10 minutes left. I want to ask one more question for you guys. What should we name? Happy on Puppy. Wait, how do you spell Nostradamus? I didn't even know. Oh, I am spelling it correctly. Nostradamus. Oreo. I don't remember. I thought that there was better ones than that. I'll put Goku on there. I had 2 more. Pepe. There we go. I'll put those 4 on there for you. Yeah, what? Thinking about naming the dog Nostradamus. But let's see what you guys think. Is it going to show up here? There we go. There's the poll. Did you see the picture? Do I need to pull the picture back up for you guys? There's the dog. Oh, let's do this one. There you go. That's the picture of the dog. What should we name him? Maybe I should have just put other in there. You can recommend other names, of course, here in chat. You can change the poll if we want. I've been looking over here. The treasuries don't feel like they've been moving all that much. They've been relatively tight. The S&P 500 though has dropped like a good 30 points, right? So I think that what we're seeing is a lot of level 2 changes out here because of the ES. We should just call him dog. We could do that. I mean, I do kind of think that Pepe the Pappy Puppy is kind of a catchy name though. Pepe Le Pew. They do kind of, with their tails and stuff, there is a little bit of a skunk look to them, isn't there? Man, you guys are pretty it's pretty neck and neck. This is the 8 people that have been voting this whole time. Some of you lurkers are gonna have to step in and vote too, I think, this time, because it's pretty neck and neck, but it looks like Pepe is up by 1 vote. Which I'm actually a little surprised that you guys think that Pepe the Pappy the Pappy Pupper is actually as funny. I haven't really floated that trial balloon. I think my wife is leaning towards Oreo. I think right now I'm leaning towards Nostradamus and my wife is leaning towards Oreo. If I came in and I said, we're just going to name him Oreo, she'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't know if she really has she doesn't seem to name things. I don't know. Okay, here's the problem I have with my wife. It's not like a problem that I personally have with my wife, but like I'm trying to do something and I'm not having a whole lot of success with it. Is trying to get her to be passionate about something other than raising children. Like she's really passionate about raising children, but I can't get her to be passionate about anything else. She'd be like, well, I want, we should make more money. It would be more comfortable and we could do other things. And I'm like, yeah, but usually if your goal is, I'm just going to do whatever it is to make more money, you usually don't end up doing it. That's usually not enough to keep you going through the hard part. So you need to like actively enjoy doing the thing. and she like disagrees with that. So like there's I feel like there's maybe some limiting beliefs there or something. But how do you get her convince her to be interested in something else? I don't know. She also doesn't seem to think that she has time, even though I'm like, yeah, except for that you do watch a lot of, we're watching television right now. You could be doing it like literally right now. She didn't really respond to that. I don't know. I think that she believes that I have free reign to just pursue whatever I want, and that she doesn't. And I don't think that that's true. I think that I pursue whatever that I want because I'm extremely passionate and disciplined about it. And that she actually has more opportunities to do that than I do. If she set her life up in the way to do it, which is the hard thing, right? Well, now it's Oreo and Pepe are equal. But we got 22. We were almost as high as 30 today. It's interesting the way that the stream numbers fluctuate. It doesn't seem like YouTube ever pushes more people to the stream. Or we just have like the same consistent group of people. Maybe I need to be pushing the stream more on my TikToks. Bring more people in. But there's some of you lurkers that could vote. Same with my wife, but we have 5 kids. Yeah. Well, and on that point, I kind of wonder, like, what do you do when she's when the kids are all at school? What's up? Oh yes, what time is that? Ooh, okay. Well, you'll have to sit with me through my Zoom meeting. So, do you think that you should name it Gizmo? Well, that is on the list? Wait, is the Gizmo the Gremlins? Gizmo Gremlins. What did he look like? What does Gizmo on Gremlins look like? I don't know. Oh, Pepe? Well, Happy? Is that a thing? So I did a small poll with a sampling. I put Nostradamus, Oreo, Goku, and Pepe on there. So another person just voted for Oreo. So Oreo is winning out by about 2 votes right now. But Pepe was doing really well at the beginning, which I was surprised about, because I think that Pepe is like I think it's funny. What is that? Here's the list right here. Percy? No, we can't do Percy. There's already a famous YouTube Papillon named Percy. Pierre? Yeah, I wasn't sure. I put Pepe out there as like that's the French one, but Pepe is the one that has the most syntactic, like, Pepe the Pappy Pupper. Try and say that 5 times fast. But I don't. But I think that the actual name Pepe is not really a attractive name. Well, Papillon, if he was really black, he probably could look like a skunk. Is there a gremlin? Wait, so what are all of the gremlins? There's the names. Are there names of all gremlins? Let's look at names of all the gremlins. Oh, here we go. There's an image. Open image, new tab. Oh wow, there's a lot of them. Oh, I didn't know that a lot of the gremlins are reptilian. Oh, here we go. Here's the ones that are not. George Mogwai. Mogwai might be one. That's the blackest one, at least. Patches. Good grief. Gary, there's a gizmo named, there's a gremlin named Gary. Tactical Mobile says, hey, bro, I just discovered your channel a minute ago searching for Ninja Trader Programmer. Great channel. Hey, thank you very much. You know what, Tactical Mobile? Something that would really help me is if on, excuse me, on the Ninja Trader programming videos that you watch and you like, leave a comment about what you think would help you the most learning about next. Because I made really general Ninja Trader programming videos. Like I made the one that was like how to do the debugging, and I made one about what the key functions were. The key functions one is the one that I think most people find, right? And then I did one about data structures, which basically is teaching you how to do like volume profile stuff and that sort of a thing, right? I never did one about how to draw stuff because that's like way too complicated for a video. That can get really complicated. But you know, from there I made a bunch of videos that were just like, let's backtest the strategy, right? And so I showed a couple of strategies that were obviously flawed, but you know, like simple programming, how do you do those, right? And then I made a bunch of videos about how to develop the strategies, like what is the development life cycle for the strategies, right? But I get the impression from people that they don't feel like that they have the programming skills necessary to make what they want. And I'm not sure where they're missing, or what is the next piece of information it is that they feel that they need. It's really hard for me because to me, this stuff is just like second nature, you know? To me, it's like I can't even fathom not knowing this stuff. So that makes it kind of hard to teach to people. So I appreciate it. But the other side of that is, and I'm glad that people are learning how to find the channel from Ninja Trader Programming. We will do stuff in the future about machine learning when I learn machine learning and I have some experience in it. But make sure you watch the last video that we made last week about the stylized behaviors of markets. That's really good information that it's just like, I can't believe that retail traders don't know this stuff. And then I'm going to release another video on Tuesday about the inelastic theory of markets that is really groundbreaking stuff and that I think has significant implications for people. The pooch looks like a gremlin. It's so funny. Kind of is. Kind of does look like a gremlin, to be honest with you. I don't know if Gizmo is the right, but I'll put it. So here I'm got like on my list of names that we seem to like. I don't know if Goku and Pepe are really, I really like them, but enough of you guys have said Gizmo that I will put that on there. And we'll rank Oreo up as Oreo and Nostradamus. I think that we can. Well, Pepe is in there too. I guess I need to put Pepe on there because enough of you guys liked that. Here, let's do one more. And you know what? I gotta get going. Monday, we'll bring this back up on Monday. We got a whole week to figure it out, right? Yeah, I'd really like to learn how to draw. Okay. I'll do one about drawing. I'll add that to my list. I'm looking to build a position size tool. Is that to mean like something that will recommend a position size to you or something else? I don't know. I really got to get going though. So you have to tell me another day, or you can leave a comment in here and I'll see it after the stream. It's fine. I do have one. I have Alice in my indicator suite that you can use to position size actually. You say Bandit fits. I think Bandit fits too. I don't know. A lot of these names I was going for edgy. Like I thought Bowser would be edgy, but he doesn't look edgy to me anymore. It's like that little bit of brown like really softened him up from what we thought he was going to be like. And now I just think he's cute. So we'll see. Okay, guys. Hey, Tuesday, we'll take the holiday off. Okay. But Tuesday, see you then. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.